Hey everyone, welcome back to Growing but Grounded. Over the past three episodes, really, we've talked about the pain of estrangement seen through each other's eyes and the role trauma can play in broken relationships. Today, we want to ask a very interesting and probably maybe a little difficult question, and that is reconciliation always possible? It's not simple, right? Those of us that have experienced this, we know that it's not simple. Sometimes families experience beautiful restoration. Sometimes relationships improve slowly over months or years.
hmm
And sometimes, despite whatever effort you may take, it just does not happen. Today, we want to talk honestly about that.
hmm I think one of the hardest lessons I've learned that love alone doesn't automatically repair a relationship.
No.
If it did, there would be very few broken families, right?
Correct. Yes.
Sometimes both people love each other deeply, but trust has been damaged
Mm.
and communication has been broken down, or one person just simply isn't ready to connect. And that can be incredibly painful to accept.
Yeah.
hmm
You know, it's good for us to talk about what is reconciliation.
hmm
Reconciliation, what does it mean? It's definitely not pretending that nothing happened. Sometimes we want to pretend like nothing happened and just move on, but it doesn't work that way. We just can't move on. Real reconciliation is built on truth,
hmm
trust, and accountability. It begins when people are willing to honestly acknowledge what happened, listen to one another, and take responsibility for their own actions. Without honesty, reconciliation becomes superficial, and superficial peace rarely lasts.
hmm And sometimes we confuse reconciliation with simply being in the same room with each other.
Hmm.
You can attend some of the same holiday gatherings,
Yeah.
maybe sit at the same table together, exchange a polite
Hmm.
conversation, and still not have reconciliation.
No.
And real reconciliation involves rebuilding trust, rebuilding communication, and rebuilding that emotional safety. And that takes time. Mhm.
Yeah, and reconciliation, repentant, it means more than just saying I'm sorry,
Mhm.
right? One of the most misunderstood parts of reconciliation is repentance. Many people think repentance is just saying, I'm sorry, let's get over it. Let's move on with our lives where we're all
Mhm.
good. But genuine repentance is deeper than just words. It's a
Mhm.
willingness to understand how your actions have affected someone else. It's taking accountability, like we mentioned before. It's taking ownership without making excuses, without blaming somebody else. It's allowing your life, not just your words, to demonstrate change.
Mhm.
That's true whether you're a parent or an adult child.
Right. And one of the most important healing apologies I've ever heard wasn't just I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It was I understand why that hurt you.
yeah.
I understand the pain.
Hmm.
And there's something powerful about feeling understood. And even when it doesn't erase the pain, it tells the other person, I've taken your experience seriously.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to understand where you're coming from.
yeah. And
hmm
we have to understand that accountability builds trust. Trust isn't rebuilt through promises. I'll never say that again, right? That's a kind of a vain promise.
hmm
It's rebuilt through consistency. People don't usually trust because someone says that they've changed. They have to see it,
hmm
right? They trust because over time they actually can see the change, feel the change,
hmm
and it comes through when the conversations are happening. Because accountability matters. Healthy accountability isn't punishment. It's evidence that someone is serious about
hmm
growth.
hmm In growth, it takes time.
Hmm.
Sometimes we want reconciliation to happen immediately because the pain is just so heavy.
Yeah.
But relationships usually heal at the speed of trust.
Hmm.
It's trust. And trust often grows slowly.
Yeah.
That might be frustrating, but it's
Hmm.
it's truly realistic. We have to take the time to allow the trust to set in.
Yeah, and there
Mhm.
might be times when only one person wants to reconcile. What does that look like, right? This
Mm.
might be the hardest part of today's conversation is sometimes only one person wants to reconcile. Only one person wants to be honest and sincere and discuss the issue. That I think happens more often than we realize.
Mhm.
The person reaches out, the other one isn't ready or
Mm.
doesn't respond. Maybe they've been blocked from Facebook, phones, etc.
Mhm.
Or they just choose not to reconnect. And yeah, we have to be ready for the pain because that can
Mhm.
hurt deeply.
Mhm. Yeah, and if that's your situation, I really want you to truly hear this. Sometimes someone else's decision doesn't determine your ability to continue to
Yeah,
grow.
it's important. Yeah.
You can still become healthier. You can still become kinder,
Hmm.
and you can live with integrity, even if someone chooses not to reconnect with you.
Yeah, you don't have to lose
Mhm.
your values. You can
Mhm.
build on those values,
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
knowing that you try to reconnect. And if you are able to reconnect, boundaries are important to understand, right? Healthy reconciliations respects healthy boundaries.
Mhm.
Sometimes people think if you forgive me, everything should go back to the way it was. But unfortunately, we
Mhm.
talked about the fact that it takes time, right?
Right.
So forgiveness and boundaries can exist together, and it's important that they do. If someone needs time, respect that. If someone asks
Mhm.
for space at times, maybe in the past they didn't ask for it, respect that as well.
Mhm.
Trying to force reconciliation does not work, and often it can push people away from you again.
Even further,
Further,
right?
yes, yep.
Because love, it's not controlling. Love
Mm-mm.
doesn't pressure you.
No,
Love doesn't demand, right?
correct.
Sometimes love waits patiently.
Mm-hmm.
hmm And sometimes love prays quietly.
Yeah,
Sometimes love just simply leaves the door open.
yeah, and that's such an
hmm
important thing to remember. Leave
hmm
the door open because that's where the hope can be, right?
hmm
It's
Hope
hope.
without pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah, as believers, we trust, we believe Yahweh can do incredible things.
hmm
We've seen relationships restored even in our own personal lives,
hmm
and maybe those relationships seemed impossible. We've seen hearts soften. We've seen conversations happen years later that no one expected, and we were
hmm
glad to hear it. So
hmm
we never lose hope, but hope and pressure are not the same thing, are they?
hmm
Right?
No.
Because hope trusts in Yahweh. Pressure comes off as trying to control people.
hmm Yeah, and we don't want to control the situation.
Mm-mm.
We want it to be open.
Yes.
And one of the hardest things I've had to learn is to release the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You don't
Yeah.
know what's going to happen, so just simply pray about it. I have to continue to do my part and grow. I can always leave the door open,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't force another person's heart.
No.
Only Yahweh can do that.
Correct. Yeah.
And learning to trust Him with what I can't control has brought a huge amount of peace that I did not have before.
Yeah. And if reconciliation happens, um, it's such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But don't expect perfection. No, we recommend that you start small. Have
Mm-hmm.
conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Listen more and speak less.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be offended if somebody says something that hurts you. Be
Mm-hmm.
patient. Don't expect years of hurt to disappear after one meeting simply because
Right.
you're ready to move on. Celebrate progress, but don't demand perfection because it
Right.
may not happen.
And sometimes that first conversation isn't about solving anything.
Correct. Yep.
Sometimes it's just simply, saying, I'm glad we're talking. I'm
Yeah.
glad we're having this time. It's important. And healing usually grows in not in just one conversation, but in many
Over time.
over time.
Yeah. One
Mhm.
conversation positive leads to another one.
Mhm.
Now, look, we want to say we have to be completely honest and transparent. We're still dealing with some of this
Mhm.
estrangement. We have successes, we have reconciliation with some of our loved ones, but we also have loved ones that we are working on, and we just want to be honest and transparent that it's progress and it's work.
Mhm. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, I'm currently estranged with two of my sons.
Mm.
I've already shared a testimony about one, but today I want to talk about my other son because with him I did experience estrangement, reconciliation, and then estrangement again.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that was a time when he was going through a very difficult season in his own life, including a divorce, and he came to live with us, and we generally just really wanted to help him. We wanted to give him a place where he could get back on his feet,
Heal.
and
Hmm.
we spent a lot of time helping with our granddaughter and trying to support him through everything that he was going through,
Hmm.
which was a lot, and we understood that. But living together became a little difficult. There were responsibilities we expected him to take care of and boundaries we had in our own home.
Hmm.
And at the time, I felt those boundaries were very reasonable.
Hmm.
But I also understood that he may have experienced that season very differently than I did. And eventually he moved out, and over time, our relationship just became more distant.
Yeah.
And we continued to try to stay in contact and work around schedules because we're both busy people. And they were some misunderstandings and hurt feelings along the way. And eventually, communication just it stopped altogether. And that's been about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more, but about 2 years. And
Yeah, at least.
I've reached out, I've sent messages, I've remembered birthdays, I've tried to really leave the door open. And what's really interesting is that I saw him at my granddaughter's field trip last year, and we talked. He was kind to me, I was kind to him, and we were able to stand in the same place and communicate with each other. It was really nice. And for that little moment, everything felt almost normal. And I remember leaving there with such hope. And but it didn't go any further than that.
Yeah.
And and this is where what we've been talking about today becomes very personal to me. I have to be willing to examine my own self, right? And if he comes to me and says, Mom, this hurt me, I want to be able to really listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to become so defensive that I can't hear that his experience simply because he remembers things differently than I do.
Right.
But I've also learned that reconciliation can't be carried by just one person. There comes a point where both people have to be willing to look at themselves.
Yeah, what they did.
And both people have to be willing to communicate. It's just not one-sided.
Correct.
And both people have to be willing to take responsibility for whatever part they play. That's important.
Yes.
And I can't do his part for him any more than he can do my part for me.
Correct.
Right? So that's been hard for me to accept as a mom because my instinct is to keep trying to, fix things. But I've learned that continually pushing isn't necessarily reconciliation.
Pushes them further away from you.
Yeah, so today I love my son and I miss him, and I'm going to leave the door open, and if he wants to have that conversation someday, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to reconcile. Even if some of what he has to say it's going to be difficult for me to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm also learning to release that outcome to Yahweh.
Yeah, and that's important.
I can't make my son see things the way I see them. And I can't make him want a relationship with me. And I can't make reconciliation happen before he's ready. What I can do is continuing to look at my own heart.
Yeah.
What I need to do, how I'm going to continue to grow. And I will continue to pray for him and make sure that if he ever does walk back through that door, he finds a mom who's ready to listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what this episode is all about.
Right.
Sometimes leaving the door open is the only part of reconciliation that's actually in our hands.
Correct.
What we can do.
Yeah, sometimes that's the key. Just leave it open. Don't be offended. Don't close it. Don't shut it off. Don't block them on Facebook or whatever it is that you feel like doing. As we close today, I just want to say that reconciliation is one of the most beautiful gifts to people can experience. You experienced it with your son, and I've experienced it with my relatives as well. But it does require humility. It requires patience, honesty, lots and lots of grace, and two willing hearts. It has to be two people, right? That's what reconciliation. You can't reconcile with yourself. You can control your own heart, but you can't control someone else's.
No. And if reconciliation does come, receive it with gratitude and thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If it takes time, don't lose hope. And if you're still waiting, don't stop becoming the person Yahweh is shaping you to be.
Keep growing.
Your growth doesn't have to pause while you're waiting for somebody else's decision. It's important for you to keep your happiness, keep your peace, keep your joy.
Yeah. Next time we want to talk about, probably finish the series with the question is, What happens if there's no reconciliation?
Mm-hmm.
How do you move forward? But if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come, you've done everything that you can, and he's just not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about what it means and how you can accept that moving forward, and how you can grow further, and how you can live a peaceful life, knowing that you've done everything that you can do. Because again, you
Mm-hmm.
can't control everything.
Mm-hmm. So thank you. If you're walking through this journey with us, our prayers is that you are a parent or an adult child,
Mm-hmm.
that if you're affected by this, just remember that healing isn't worth pushing. It's just being patient and loving each other through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's this silly thing that says it takes two to tango, but it really does take two to
It
tango, right?
really does.
It does take two
Mm-hmm.
to grow, to learn, to share,
Mm-hmm.
to take responsibility for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And that's the beautiful part about
Mm-hmm.
reconciliation.
And I do want to share a testimony about my mom at some time where reconciliation really can happen.
That's a
It's a
beautiful
beautiful
story.
story about my mom and I, rebuilding our relationship and reconciling and restoring those years that we lost. So we'll be talking about that in a future episode.
Thank you for joining us again with Growing But Grounded. If you have any questions, hey, reach out to us. You can always message us. You can always call us if you have our phone
Mm-hmm.
number. And if you don't, let us know that you'd like to. We want to hear your testimony also
Mm-hmm.
as well. We'd love to hear the reports that come in from parents that are dealing with this, and
Mm-hmm.
how they're dealing, how they're overcoming. And we want to hear the beautiful stories of
Mm-hmm.
reconciliation. So thanks again for joining us with Growing But Grounded with Hector and Tara. See you soon.